Alright guys, welcome back to your WrestleMania. As Vince McMahon would say, welcome to WrestleMania. Well, this is your WrestleMania 37 Night 2 review, and this belongs in the trash can, man. This was shit. I didn't think Night 1 could get worse, but I think maybe Night 2, it might have prevailed in doing so. It might have actually been worse than Night 1. Very disappointing. Maybe it wasn't worse than Night 1, but I think it was certainly more disappointing than Night 1 for sure. I mean, Night 2, I thought was going to be the better, just simply be the better show, because there was 3 matches that I was caring about. Or maybe not even, I don't even think caring's the right word, but out of the entire card, there was only 3 matches that I really wanted to see, and 2 of them were on Night 2, so, you know, I'm thinking, right, well, I'm probably going to enjoy Night 2 more, but one of those matches ended up being a fucking disaster, and the other one was, I think, the wrong guy won, but we'll get into that in a minute. So we kick off the show with one of the matches I wanted to see. In my opinion, probably the match I was most looking forward to see. The match that probably had some of the best build-up I think we've seen in recent years. The only problem is this feud was going on for too long. At the start, Orton, the Fiend, it was pretty good. You'd Orton setting the Fiend on fire. You'd Alexa Bliss pouring all the gasoline over herself, and then you'd her hitting Orton with the fireball, and then you had Orton nailing her with the RKO. But after the Rumble, it kind of went to shit. They just ran out of ideas, and they practically did nothing for like the past 6 weeks, 2 months. They kind of done nothing. It was just Orton with black shit coming out his mouth for literally for 2 weeks, and then the last week of Raw, they didn't even do anything. So even though I thought this feud was really good at the start, it just dragged on for too long. They ran out of ideas, and then it completely died. The Fiend came back, nobody really cared. We go into this match, Alexa Bliss with a Jack in the Box, she pulls the handle, the Fiend comes up, but it's not the burnt Fiend, it's the normal Fiend. It was the Fiend before he got set on fire, so he must have been using that same cream that Randy Orton was using, because the burns were completely healed. He was fucking fine. And then what preceded next was an absolute joke. I thought we were maybe going to get a cinematic match, or at least half cinematic, then then finish maybe in the ring somehow. We didn't get that. What we got was, I don't even know how to describe this. It was 5 minutes of horse shit. Yeah, it was. I'll be honest. 5 minutes of absolute nothing. A couple of clotheslines. Orton with a DDT and a few stomps, and the commentators are making it as if, oh, this is brutal. And it was brutal to watch. The match wasn't brutal, but it was brutal to watch. And then it ends with the Fiend about to hit Sister Abigail. Alexa Bliss pops out the Jack in the Box, covered in the same black shit. It kind of looks like the Orton was spewing up. She's got her hand outstretched. The Fiend gets distracted, turns around, RKO, Orton wins, leaves the ring straight away. Goes up the ramp, the Fiend gets up, looks at Alexa Bliss, the lights go out, the lights come back on, and they're gone. And the crowd are booing, and no wonder the crowd are booing. This is horse shit. Fuck me, man. I don't know. Does Alexa Bliss betray the Fiend, or is she teaming up with Orton, or was she trying to, I don't know, signal the end of Orton, and the Fiend got distracted? I don't know where they're going to go with this, but at this stage, I'm like, who the fuck cares? Let's just move on. This was bad. I mean, this was bad. I thought maybe, I know the last 2 months of this feud's been shit, but I thought they were going to do something cool to end it at Mania, and they didn't do that. I mean, you look at what they did last year with Cena versus Wyatt, compared to this, it was awful. It was awful. If they're only going to have, the thing is, I could have accepted them not having a cinematic match if they were actually going to have, like, you know, a really good, like, brutal match, but it was basically a 5-minute wrestling match. And these two guys, after you're trying to kill someone, you try and set them on fire. It shouldn't be a wrestling match. It should be something brutal, like Extreme Rules or a Hell in a Cell or something like that. It should not just be a basic 5-minute match with a finish out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Garbage. So did not enjoy this. Really, really let down. Then we moved on to the women's tag team titles. As much as I dislike Tamina and Natalya, I really wanted them to win here, but they didn't. So the team of Shayna Baszler and Fat Ass retain the belts. God knows how long they're going to hold those things hostage. There shouldn't even be a women's tag team division, if we're being honest. The women's division's awful. Having 2 belts for the women, 2 singles belts, is far too much as it is. Never mind 2 single belts and a tag team belt. It's fucking atrocious. If they really want the tag team belts, then they should just move it to one brand. Have maybe Raw or have SmackDown even be the show with the women's single belt, and then if they want to have a tag belt, have Raw be the women's tag division. But having it's too much. It's too much. too much of shit is never a good thing. Too much of something that's good sometimes no good, but too much of garbage is certainly no good. Nia Jax did a top rope split, not a top rope, like a middle rope splash, and Natalya, for someone who claims to be the best worker out there or one of the best, she's fucking goddamn awful. Standing there for about 10 seconds with her mouth wide open, wait as if she's in shock, waiting for Nia Jax to do the splash, and she actually pulls Tamina in the middle of the ring, so she's with her, so Nia Jax can hit the splash. Now, we know wrestling scripted, we know it's fake, but when you see something this bad, it's like, you know, you try and forget in the moment that, you know, you're trying to, you try and forget in the moment that this shit's choreographed and that this shit's put on, but when you see, like, wrestling this bad, you're like, holy shit, man, this is staged. You know what it is? I mean, it's like, at least in movies, you see fight scenes and they look real. You see this shit and it just looks awful. It looks awful. So Nia Jax hits the splash. Natalya then gets her in the sharpshooter, and Shayna Baszler comes in and puts in the Kokita clutch or whatever it's called, and Natalya passes it in about 7 seconds. I didn't even know that was possible. How can you pass out in 7 seconds? But that's what she did. I think Tamina probably looked the best out of these people. I mean, Tamina actually, I think, looks like someone they should be given a push to. Looks a bit of a Samoan badass, whereas Nia Jax just looks like a fat ass. So, big difference between those two. I don't want Natalya to. I would probably rather see Tamina get a singles run, to be honest, if we're being perfectly honest. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Who on SmackDown is going to go after the new champ now? I don't know. I don't really care. If we're being honest, I don't care. Up next with Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn with Logan Paul. Shit match. Don't really care. We've seen it 1,000 times, and there's nothing they were going to do here that would impress me. End of the match. Logan Paul pushes down Sami Zayn, and you've seen this coming. Kevin Owens hits a stunner on Logan Paul, just straight up copying Austin. If this guy's so good, if this guy's so over, then why we need to copy Austin literally fucking move for move? You know, I mean, this was typical Austin, where he's celebrating with the guy, then hits him with the stunner, and Kevin Owens is doing the exact same thing. Yeah, Kevin Owens is a star. Yeah, Kevin Owens is a great guy, but he needs to fucking literally copy shit Austin was doing, 15, 20 years ago. I'm sure he's a star. Well, maybe, no, I mean, it's pish, absolute pish. After that, we had, I think it was the Nigerian Bamboo match. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was. This was not bad. The finish came with some big 7-foot guy comes in, helps Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews gets the win. Who cares? Up next, I'm probably forgetting a match, to be honest, but if I am, I don't really care. I'll just put it out there. Don't really care. We had the women's match. I actually went to bed. I had to watch this the next. I didn't even watch it. I just seen the finish. Rhea Ripley comes out with some awful band singing her song. It was terrible. It really was. And then she beat Asuka. I didn't see the finish. Don't care. Looks like a freak show bastard. Shouldn't he be the champ? And even though Asuka's reign is the most forgetful reign, the worst reign I've ever seen, actually, from any champion, if I'm being honest. Worse than Jeff Jarrett's fucking reign of terror. But, that was bad. But, Rhea Ripley shouldn't be anywhere near a belt, really. All she did was turn up on Raw and say, look, Charlotte's out, I'm in, and that means she should be champion. No, this was fucking garbage. Absolute garbage. Then we had the main event. It was a decent match. We did have some wee backstage things in between all this shit, but nobody cares. Nothing memorable, honestly. Nothing memorable. I think there was an RVD match. Oh, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. How the fuck could I forget about that? This was actually one of the better matches. So, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus, US Championship, and the finish was pretty cool. Matt Riddle going for like a somersault off the middle rope and springboard, and Sheamus actually kicks him right in the fucking chin with the brogue kick, and Matt Riddle's busted open. This was actually a good finish. How could I forget about that match? Probably, arguably, maybe match of the night. Or, well, maybe second best, because I think Edge and the main event took that, didn't it? So main event time, Edge, Daniel Bryan, Reigns, title threat match for the Universal title. Edge looked very impressive, booked very strong, but still it was Roman Reigns with the win. Edge hit a concerto. Looks like he's about to hit the concerto on Roman Reigns. Uso comes in again, interfering for about the 10th time in the match. He gets wrong out the ring. He gets a spear by Edge. Then Reigns hits a spear on Edge, and then Roman Reigns hits the concerto on Edge, puts Edge on top of Daniel Bryan, and does a double count. And there you go. That is it. That is the match over. Roman Reigns retains. Shit, should have been Edge that won, but you know what? Wrestling's crap, so there's no real reason to cry about it, guys. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Actually, I fell asleep straight away after. See, as soon as Wwe Ripley came out, my head hit the pillow like a baby, and I was out cold. So I was out cold more than a concerto would put you out cold. But yeah, you go, guys. I mean, is it worst WrestleMania of all time? It might be. To be fair, the last couple have been bad, but at least if you look at WrestleMania 36, you can honestly say there was like two 5-star matches, like, or whatever you want to call it. There was two fucking moments of greatness. You the Undertaker with AJ Styles Boneyard match, and then the whole Firefly Funhouse. Those two things were fucking epic. I'm looking at WrestleMania Night 2. There was nothing. WrestleMania 37 Night 1 or Night 2. There was nothing epic. There was a couple of good matches, but there was nothing epic. And I mean, for that reason, I think this has to be the worst WrestleMania of all time. I genuinely do believe that. 35 was dog shit as well, but I'm not really here to compare 35 to 37. I'm just here to say 37 was shit. And I regret watching it. It was like a waste of fucking 6 hours, guys. But anyway, there you go. This year WrestleMania Night 2 review. Absolute garbage. And doesn't really get me pumped for Raw or SmackDown. But anyway, guys, that is how the cookie crumbles. Till next time. Peace.